Bookie Beatdown coming at you. UFC Vegas 111. Bonfim versus Brown. There's 11, maybe 12 fights on the card. Donte Johnson's fighting again. He fought literally on Saturday. I saw people saying that fight was rigged. It's just like, no. Dumbass just stinks. That's maybe the result was the method was a little bit surprising, but Cedric Dumas not having a good performance, maybe quitting in round 2, not really all that surprising to anybody. But obviously you did the recap this week. I'm sure you went all over it with the Bulgarian stuff and everything like that. This sport's been kind of ripe for this type of stuff for quite some time. Obviously, we're like 3 years removed from James Krause and Derek Minner and everything like that, almost 3 years to the day. But, there's been weird stuff going on. There's a lot of other programming out there that has went way further in depth about all of this stuff. But all I'll really say is that, when fighters are making 12-12, 14-14, 16-16, the situation's ripe for some collusion. But in the NBA, you have guys like Terry Rozier making like $25 million a year, and they're still willing to take it. So maybe it has more to do with the human condition more than anything else. Cody, any thoughts before we get into the fights here?
Yeah, well, that's what you're saying, man. A couple years ago, we used to just hit PRPs all the time, hit fat parlays all the time to get this guy should win and this guy goes out and win. And then the last number of years, it's been a lot of people not fighting the best game plan or not fighting to their best win condition or wonky judging or wonky refereeing or wonky, like I said, game planning or just like a bunch of random stuff. And I can't blame all of our problems or all of our bad picks. There's been a lot of just outright bad picks, but it does make you wonder. They've got 100 fights flagged. How many wrong sides have I been on?
I think
How
that's
many
just
key pieces of the parlay were approached? And like Paul's saying, it's like when you're making 16-16, 18-18, 20-20, and someone was to offer you, say, $100,000, well, it may take you 3 to 4 fights, and that might take you 2 years. Bulgarian's had 3 fights in the UFC over 2.5 year span. He's made like $68,000 in the UFC in 2.5 years. He's broke, so maybe you can approach like a guy like that and maybe they'll do the job. I'm actually, a lot of people are saying, well, I don't want to bet UFC no more, and I don't want to bet MMA anymore. And let me tell you something right here. I am most excited to bet this card coming up because with the FBI watching, everybody's going to be fighting to the best of their abilities and fighting for that win. So I don't expect anything risque on this card, but maybe it's a bigger issue. We've had a lot more success betting regionals. Why is that? Well, because regionals, you can't hit it for more than $150. You can't hit it for more than a few $100s.
not true.
Not true in all cases. What I'm saying is, can you go down and say I want to put down a $10,000 bet on a single straight up bet on an ACA card?
No, you'd move that. You'd move the hell.
Cage Warriors.
You'd move the hell out of the market by making that many rebets on something.
That many rebets, and then you would probably have to add some minus 10,000 on it so you can continue to rebet and whatever. There's a way around
bet singles over and over at the book that you're playing at.
Sure. So let's say he's minus 800 and your book says we'll allow you to put $800 on it to make $100, right? And you can continue to bet it for that $100 profit. Then as soon as you hit it that one time, it moves to minus 1,200. So you hit it a second time. Now you're invested for $2,000 to win $200. Well, that's fine. But on the UFC, it's not, well, we'll let you put down $800. You could put down $80,000 if you want it. The books will take the action on the UFC. So
there's more books taking action.
So having some guy work a fight on the Cage Warriors card where it's like, boys, we profited $8,000 off that. Certainly possible. But yeah, at this level, I would expect, maybe it is happening. I look at this card and I think everyone's going to be on their best behavior, and hopefully we can just get the proper winners and put this thing behind us. But yeah, it's happening in basketball, and I'm sure it's happening in NFL football because I watch people cry about it online every weekend. And of course, it's happening in MMA. There's actual evidence that you can point to now.
Yeah, but can I correct you on one thing about the 100?
Very corrupt.
Can I just correct you on one thing though? That 100 fights that are flagged, I don't think that's 100 fights that they think have like rigging. I think that's just like crazy betting patterns, things that got flagged for betting patterns. But just because a few services like that would happen probably it happens pretty commonly. Sometimes I bet the other side of these types of things. Like there was like certain cards, there was one time where like Rob Font, his opponent, I think it maybe his most recent fight. His opponent got steamed in the last hour, and then I just ended up adding more on Rob Font, and then Rob Font ended up winning. Maybe that was against like John Matsumoto, I'm thinking. So like those types of moves kind of happen quite a bit. It's just like the result, everything, and especially the fact that it was like that one, Del Val round 1 against an opponent in Delgarian he's never been finished, never really been close to getting finished. These were all of the things, and like some of the other books taking massive action, but I don't know. It's
that's fair. That's all. It's all fair, and obviously not 100 fights are rigged. It's just 100 fights for investigation, and some of those, as you mentioned,
I don't even think they're under investigation. I think like maybe 1/10 of those fights are probably under investigation.
I'll show you an example right here: Muhammad Yahya versus Stephen Nguyen. Right, so the line heavily spikes right before the fight for the over 1.5 at plus money. Right, the fight has a UFC record 6 knockdowns. Stephen Nguyen puts Muhammad Yahya down 6 times. Jason Herzog refuses to stop the fight till it hits the over 1.5. They call it after the second. Everybody goes home happy. Stephen Nguyen is not in on it. He tried to kill the guy. He knocked him down 6 times. And Muhammad Yahya, he's probably not in on it too. He's just like, why is the ref letting this thing still go, right? But it's possible that Herzog's on it. So they're saying that some of the referees are being investigated for premature stoppages. He allowed Derek Lewis versus Taliesin, what's his name? The big Brazilian guy. You know what I'm talking about.
Taliesin Tecia.
Yeah, dude, the dude's climbing back up to his feet. And Herzog's like, no, this thing's off. Well, so they're
I think Big Dan
stuff.
I think Big Dan against very recently with the Frivola stopping it with 7 seconds left in the first round, then restarting that fight, like that thing reeked. Big Dan was doing some stuff over in the Middle East.
That one reeks, but I've seen Big Dan on 2 other occasions say, I thought I heard the bell go. And that was what happened this last time. So it's all certainly possible, and that's why they've got those flags. But if you look at last week's card, it's like flag me 4 fights on the card, okay? So Dumas, like you said, maybe that one looks suspicious. Not to me. Dumas is throwing spinning back elbows and flying knees. He's a Dumas, and it didn't work. He was trying to win that fight, right? Donte Johnson, he methodical approach, tire this guy out, break him down, choke him out. Not suspicious to me. The Acosta fight is not suspicious to me.
It is restarting the fight is like completely against.
But who does that favor? The guy?
No, but it's against like the unified rules. Once the ref waves it off, it should have been like it. I profited off of it. I'm not mad. I had Waldo. So I went from like, oh God, we got finished. Oh, there's an eye poke. Okay, it's gonna be a no contest. To them restarting it and then Waldo finishing it. It was all good for me. I was happy about it, but like I'm pretty sure, like by the book in Nevada State Athletic Commission, like the moment that fight is waved off like that,
it never got waved. It never got waved off.
Like
he stepped in and was like stop.
Hey, I made money. I'm just saying that that should have been a no contest.
But everybody that's mad about that fight are the ante bettors that were like, probably. I won, and then I was told, sorry, you'll just get your money back, and now I'm lost my bet. So they're upset. Right?
That one was weird. Restarting like that was weird.
But neither guy was in on any type of fix. The ones that I personally had red flagged are very clearly Bulgarian. And then David Onama. David Onama trains with Bulgarian, chief training partner, has also ties with James Krause, has also that entire thing. He had never been finished in his entire career. He had never been knocked down in his entire career. And he's known as a very hot first round starter. And so Steve kicked his ass. He never threw any punches. He just stood there and allowed Steve to kick his ass. Why not go out guns a-blazing for 2-3 minutes? Well, that's because he did a good job, Paul. That's because David Onama did an excellent job.
He's a problem, man. Steve walked him down. I mean, I didn't see anything fishy about that fight.
Well, because fixing a fight, you don't want to get knocked out. But in this case, he didn't get knocked out. He got hit, and then he fell over, and then he turtled up, and then the ref stopped it immediately. So you can't tell me David Onama went to the hospital for a CT scan after that because Steve nuked him. Steve hit him a few times, and he just fell over. That's what's suspicious to me. This guy's never been finished before. He's been in some dog fights. And at the very least, Steve's going to knock him out. Sure, maybe in the second or the third round. Steve just walked out. I think he outstruck him 33-3.
Unama's been
David just
knocked.
shelled up. He just shelled up.
He's been knocked down a whole bunch of times, though.
Had he been knocked down?
Oh yeah, and like in a lot of his fights.
I don't remember Landwehr putting him down, but or maybe some other fights. Maybe you're right on that.
Dude,
I'd have to bring that.
He's eaten a whole bunch of big shots in a whole bunch of different fights.
Well,
I don't have it in front of me.
It was just his time then.
Didn't anticipate that we were going to be bringing up the David Onama fight, to be perfectly honest. But here we are. Shall we talk about this week's card and
try to figure out who is going to take the money?
Nobody's taking the money.
No one's taking.
Not with this many. Not with this much attention. Anyway.
Yeah, you're right. Roberto Romero had knocked him down. Only guy to knock him down. But it was in his last
really
fight,
rocked
2 fights
him
ago.
Too,
so maybe
other guys
maybe the time
really
was
rocked
coming.
him.
Maybe the time was coming.
Don't make me
agree
pull
to
up
disagree.
Don't make me pull up his recent
record.
schedule and go through every single fight where he's been absolutely rocked. Whether he got, whether it was credited with a knockdown or whether like his striking defense has always been a little bit questionable, and Steve put it on him early. I don't know. I didn't see anything fishy about that fight, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, well, I got my tinfoil hat on now because when they tell me that this ain't the first fight that's being looked at, it makes you wonder.
I think they said that there was like 100 fights that got flagged for betting irregularities, but like you can get just multiple, lots of multiple whales, multiple syndicates, that type of thing that have no inside information that just like bet something really, really hard all at the same time. And we see it on the regionals all the time, man. Like every ACA card is like we release the picks, and then like that night there's just like I always save money for it because there's just like crazy line manipulations going on. And then by the time they actually lock the stuff out, the numbers kind of go back to where they were. But like there's a window of time where just like crazy stuff happens. Those things would be kind of flagged for irregularities. That's not to say that those fights were fixed by any stretch of the imagination. Anyway, I think there's just a lot of crazy stuff that goes on in the betting streets in general.
Let me ask you this then.
What?
How come Vanessa Demopoulos and Lando Venata and a number of fighters come out and say, "Oh yeah, I've been offered money to throw fights"?
No, I think it's like that. I think it's a real thing.
Right. So Leo Kuntz versus Tae-Young Bang was a fixed fight. Was supposed to be a fixed fight because the money was offered, and Tae-Young Bang
was like over
2 years in prison in Korea. Yeah, right. It was a decade ago. And then 7 years later, this James Krause thing comes up where it's like, oh, there might have been some suspicious behavior going on here as well. And I believe it was Catching with Craig over in the Boogie Beatdown Discord. He was saying like, I might not have been him. Someone was saying they were in that chat with James Krause, and James Krause never at no point outright said this guy's hurt, everybody bet against him. But it's that James Krause is running a service where they would take over your account for you and place the bets for you. So an irregular bet would be 100 people bet this fight, but it's all the same guy from 100 different accounts, and they can figure it out. So Paul's not wrong. Not everybody's throwing fights. Not everyone's being offered to throw fights. Last thing I will say, Zach Pauga, he says, hey, man, I fought 3 times. I was the favorite all 3 times. No one ever offered me to throw the fight. It's like, dog, they knew you're going to lose anyways. You were nobody's parlay piece, man.
He said, I was the favorite in every single one of my UFC fights, and nobody ever offered me. He just didn't meet the criteria, I suppose.
Hilarious. Well, imagine you were...
And Vince Morales, probably when like the FBI got mentioned... He said that it was just a joke after the fact, which I think is probably, he's like, oh God, I shouldn't have opened my mouth up, because he seemed very serious in the moment when he was talking to Brett Apley about it openly on Twitter.
A few of them have mentioned that. My one with the Vanessa Demopoulos fight is that she would win, and then they'd be like, what the hell? You're supposed to throw it. She's like, I did. The judges gave it to me anyways. This happens in all of Vanessa Demopoulos' wins. I don't know why they keep
giving it. What about the Emerim loss? Huh?
Well, that's if she loses. I know she's lost clean. Those
we all trusted her on that. I'm not throwing. Hey,
you mean
allegedly, we throw just allegedly around because nobody, even Bulgaria, it's just like they haven't
I don't want to
proven it,
it's
but things don't look good for him. I will say that. Because Dana said that. I feel like it's safe to say that, but we're not saying that he is guilty. Innocent until proven guilty. But I don't know, if you watch this stuff for long enough, you can watch that fight. And like even a guy like me who had money on Del Val, it's just like I was excited in the moment. And then like the next day after I see kind of everything kind of blowing up, I went back and rewatched it, and I was just like, like that first takedown attempt, you're just like, I've seen Bulgarian, when he gets in on those hips, the effort just wasn't quite there. It's like he got to the hips because that's what he's supposed to. Yeah, it doesn't look good for him, but we will see how it all shakes out. Anyway, there you go. If you want a little bit of a input on where we are at with this whole scandal, we ain't gonna stop us. We got the full card from the Apex all over again to break down. We're gonna start with that right now. All right, we got Gabriel Bonfim taking on Randy Rude Boy Brown in the main event. Bonfim, a -182 favorite. The comeback on Randy Brown plus 151. Where are you at, Code?
Yeah, I got mixed feelings. I can see it going either way, and I don't want to just make it a dog or pass and take Randy Brown, but I think he's just going to have a lot of problem pinned up against the cage. Maybe he gets taken down a couple times. Bonfim's very physically strong. I'm sure he'll get a couple takedowns in the early portion, but this is his first ever 5-round fight. And to this point, Gabriel Bonfim doesn't appear that he can really go that long. His fight with Stephen Thompson, I tried to pull the trigger on the underdog play there with Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. I thought Thompson won. Fortunately, judges didn't give it to him, but it's the same thing that we would kind of go with this in the Randy Brown approach. His cardio is not that good. You see him get tired as it goes on. His takedowns are good initially because he can just muscle you off the cage, pick you up, slam you down. If you're able to get up, if you're able to make this guy work, if you're able to just stay defensively sound and extend this guy, the wrestling all of a sudden isn't all that explosive, and he'll try to just hold you up against the cage a little bit. If you go way back on the Contender Series, you fought Trey Waters. I get it. Trey Waters is 6'5". Randy Brown's only 6'3". He's largely uncomfortable with tall strikers, as is his brother, because they only really throw hooks. They're a little bit plodding. They're a little bit flat-footed with their footwork, and they just try to throw these big overhands. If it works, it works, and they'll get that first-round knockout or maybe a first-round guillotine choke very quickly. If it doesn't, in both of their cases, you can prolong them out. It's not great. So him having to fight 5 rounds, I think it's extremely plausible that he's up 2-1 going into the fourth. And then at that point, the onus is on Randy Brown to just pick up the heat. Randy Brown's got superior striking, I think. He throws very straight punches. He's got better output. I get he's 35 years old now. He's taking on a 29-year-old Brazilian. This wouldn't, in theory, be very easy. You can look at some of these 2 fights as well, like, say, Elizeu Zaleski dos Santos. He won the second round, and he got 4 takedowns in the fight. And specifically the second round, he got a lot of cage control time. The Brian Battle fight. Brian Battle never took Randy Brown down once on, 7 attempts. But he had 7.5 minutes of control time up against the cage. You saw Bonfim in that fight with Thompson. It's 1-1. He won the first. He lost the second. It's 1-1 going into the third. He knew he really couldn't take down Wonderboy anymore. Well, he could, but it would just be too taxing on him physically. So he just held him up against the cage. Think he's going to have success standing cage control, mixing some takedowns, land a few good shots. The longer this thing goes, if he does not finish Randy Brown, I just think Brown's length's going to pose some problems. The volume, the speed, the straight punches. It's going to be tough. So instead of betting Randy Brown straight up, which I'm just not looking really to do, I'd bet him live. If you think that maybe he gets knocked out in the first. We've seen him knocked out a few times. Maybe he gets submitted. We've seen Jack Maddalena knock him down and then grab the back and choke him out. But that's first round stuff. You can live bet this guy after 2 or 3. You'll get a much better indicator. And for Bonfim, I think he is going to be my pick, but at -180, I disagree with the price. I think that it's absolutely live underdog Randy Brown. It's just, which judges do we have? And are they looking at standing cage control time, or are they landing at significant punches landed? And it's likely not going to be a fight that's easy from a betting perspective. So I don't love it, but I guess I got, scratch that. I got to grow some nuts. I'm just going to take Randy Brown, but live betting him is going to be way better than the pick right now. Maybe he's just the PRP guy.
Yeah, for me, it's like if I was the bet that I have really no interest is like getting attached to this Bonfim -180 type of range. I have zero interest in getting involved in that because time and time again, and I know he's made some improvements. We have seen him go the distance against or go at least Angelusa. He's able to go the distance there. Got taken down 4 times, but it's like he kind of accepts being taken down. Got takedowns against Chaos Williams was able to get a late. So it's like his cardio looked better in those fights. But yeah, against Stephen Wonderboy Thompson round 3, it's like cardio wasn't looking great. If you look at like MMA decisions, most people scored that fight for Thompson. It cost me quite a bit of money as someone who was fading Bonfim, and we had like near plus 300 dog price on Stephen Wonderboy. I still, even though he's had a bit of a resurgence, obviously the Nicholas Dalby fight a couple of years ago at this point, like I think he's made improvements with the cardio in that department, but now we're asking him to go 5 rounds. And if I were going to bet Bonfim, I'd probably just bet this under 2.5, which is under 2.5 is pretty much a pick 'em. That's how I would go about playing him, because I would not like. I'm not going to feel good about my chances if we get deep into round 3 with a Bonfim ticket, a Bonfim money line ticket. Bonfim's going to be the pick for me. I think he probably does get the chin or catch his chin, or maybe or hope ideally for him finds takedowns and works his BJJ. Randy's nothing too special to me, but yeah, I'm not gonna let it ruin my weekend. So sounds like we're split on the main event. You like Randy Brown, I got Gabriel Bonfim.
I don't like Randy Brown.
Neither one of us love it.
Yeah,
we got Joseph Morales taking on Matt Danger Schnell. Morales, so minus 300-ish favorite. The comeback on Schnell plus 250. I mean, at this stage, what would it take for me to put money on Matt Schnell? I know he's got skills. I know he's got abilities in kind of every range of the game, but guy's durability is really questionable. His cardio is kind of questionable. Ring IQ incredibly questionable. Morales, he was in the Ultimate Fighter house. I think a lot of us are a little bit surprised that he's gotten back here, but kind of tough as nails. Went through a pretty tough strength of schedule to get back to this type of position. I feel like Joseph Morales finds a finish at some point here, whether it's a submission or it's a club and sub, or if it's just a straight up knockout. Matt Schnell's durability just can't be trusted. Where are you at with this fight?
Yeah, I completely agree. I'm a little bit guilty of writing off Joseph Morales myself. Here's a guy that had already been in the UFC and had a very short stint, went 0-2. They released him, and then since then he's not been super active, and he's not picked up the biggest quality of wins. And then all of a sudden he's back on the Ultimate Fighter house, and he wins in the Ultimate Fighter. But looking back at it, so only one man's ever finished him in his career. It's Figgy, right? Former UFC champion. And Figgy's 30 years old at the time. Joseph Morales is 23. He was released from the UFC at 24. And since then, he spent a lot of time at Team Alpha Male, honing his skills, getting better everywhere. When he jumped into the Ultimate Fighter house, his wins in the house are Eduardo Henrique, otherwise known as Chaplin, who then jumped onto DWCS, Dana White's Contender Series, and looked awesome and is one of the better prospects from the season. His other win is over Imanol Rodriguez, who people will say, contentious decision, maybe I thought he won. I watched it a few times. Morales won the fight. Imanol then jumps straight onto Contender Series, where he was one of the other standouts of the season. So he beat the 2 best guys, one who's a ultra already veteran status guy in Chaplin, and then Rodriguez, who's a super prospect. He beats both of them, and then he debuts against Alibi Idris, who's supposed to be the best guy in the house. He's a plus 365 underdog. He doesn't just beat him, he wrecks him. He beat him in all the striking exchanges. Right hand was on point. Footwork looked pretty good. Speed was there. Was throwing volume. Entries to the takedowns were nice. Eventually causes this guy to just tire by round 2, quit, fall to his back after a missed kick. Morales jumps on top, ends up choking him out with a beautiful setup to a triangle choke. He used to attend Joseph Benavidez's kids' classes at Team Alpha Male. He's grown up in the gym. And even now, he's only 31 years old. So you look at him as a guy in a second go-around in the UFC, but now he's actually just in the prime of his career. Everything's just lining up properly for him. So I think you're going to see a good version of him. I think he's able to compete. Matt Schnell, meanwhile, it's a weird one. Matt Schnell 7-7 in the UFC. He's like 1-5 over his last 6 fights. I'm pretty sure he retired after his last fight, now that I'm thinking about it. thought he laid the gloves down even in a victory over Jimmy Flick. Or maybe it was the one before that against Durden, he retired and then came back for one against Jimmy Flick. In any event, 35-year-old flyweight, hasn't looked himself in a while. Very fast hand speed, decent power. Guy's got a knockdown over Brandon Royval back in the day. Guy's a knockout, or not knockout, but he minded his P's and Q's and outstruck Tyson Nam at one point. So his hand speed's good. His volume's okay. Can crack a little, but he's one of these guys that just makes one mistake and then doesn't have the durability to make a mistake. Either he'll get taken down, and like the Cody Durden fight, he shoots into a bad takedown and gets ninja choked. Or like a lot of these other fights where you've seen him get knocked out. Guy got knocked down twice and knocked out by Matus Nicolau. Matus Nicolau ain't knocking anybody out. So it's constantly going to be a problem for if he just gets touched, he could go down. If he does, his wrestling not good enough to take Morales down. But if he did get Morales down, Morales is a black belt as well. So good luck. Like, what are you really going to achieve? So now you're going to have to just outwork this guy over the course of 15. He might be taking you down. He might be knocking you out. But you got to outwork him, which I also don't necessarily see being the case. So I don't like top ticketing flyweights. Maybe he's on the top, maybe he's on the second line. But in any event, I think Joseph Morales is a clear play this week.
Yeah, the fight goes to the decision. No, is like minus 200. I think that's a fine parlay piece. In any match now fight, I will take my chances because just, we're not reinventing the wheel here, of course. And of course, it's minus 200. But if I could go to decisions, possible. He went to decision against Jimmy Flick last time.
Jimmy Flick took him down 5 times, man. This is going to be a problem.
By playing it safe is kind of the only way that he goes to decision these days. And I don't know if he's going to be able to win those exchanges and play it safe like he did against the Brick. God love the Brick, but yeah, for Royval, Sumaderji, all of these fights are ending inside the distance, inside the first 2 rounds, really. But minus 200, fight ends inside the distance. Seems like a pretty decent parlay piece to me this week. I expect that to probably steam more as the week goes on. We got Ismael Bonfim taking on Chris Padilla. Bonfim about a minus 200 favorite. The comeback on Padilla plus 170. What do you think about this fight, Cody?
Hey, the other Bonfim brother. I do think he wins this fight, but it ain't going to be easy. Chris Padilla fights this very weird style where he's constantly moving laterally on you. Like, he's got good footwork. He just doesn't overly engage. And then if you storm at him, he'll drop. If you're not good at wrestling, he'll just drop down and hit the takedown like he did against James Lontop. Got 1, Lontop up, got 2, Lontop up. Third one, he takes his back, chokes him out. His fight with Rong Zhu, though, Rong Zhu's coming forward trying to engage him, and Padilla's constantly just backing up but landing shots. He lands good jabs, nice leg kicks, good athletic guy, causes Rong Zhu to constantly have to crash forward and then lands just big shots, nice head kick, nice elbow over the top, ends up closing up his eye and then results to the stoppage. But those are clean performances. That last bout with Jai Herbert, he don't look himself. But all I can really put to that one is that Jai Herbert's like 6'1" with a 75-inch reach or something. So for the first time, he's fighting one of these super long guys. And I think running away the entire time and not being able to take Herbert down just led to it being a weird fight. On one hand, he's 3-0 in the UFC. On the other hand, it does not look like this guy's good anywhere. He's not an elite striker. He's not an elite wrestler. His cardio, I don't think it's top level. He's only 31 years old. He's not shot by any means, and he's got lots of experience, but he seemingly just goes through the motions at times. With Ismael Bonfim, meanwhile, the reason why this is a bit of a tricky matchup is similar to his brother, is that he's constantly looking to be the aggressor. He likes to come forward, and he likes to throw mostly hooks. So he has to chase you. And against guys that will stand in the pocket and exchange with him, he will have success. Against a guy like Chris Padilla, who's constantly going to be moving, he needs to chase him. He's going to get frustrated, and he's going to be walking into shots. It's not like there's a big reach advantage or a big height advantage or anything like that, but I've always thought that Bonfim, Ismael, is kind of small for 155 pounds, and as a result, it's like he misses a lot of his punches. He comes up short on a lot of these shots. He's ended up still going to take them, mostly because of that Vince Pichel fight where showed he could go 15 minutes, showed he could land over 100 if need be, but Pichel stood right in front of him and engaged him the entire time, right? This is going to be a much different matchup. His wrestling, I don't really rate. His power, although not bad, he's not really just knocking all these guys out other than that Terrence McKinney flying knee a few years back now. Not sold on either of the Bonfim brothers, but I feel like maybe Ismael is going to land, say, 70, 80, 90 significant strikes. They'll mostly be hooks. They'll mostly be eye-catching. And he's going to be going forward the entire time. So likely they'll, and he's not taking, Padilla's not taking Bonfim down. His wrestling's okay, but it ain't to that level anyways. So you just got to trust the judges to get it right. But when you look at the money line, it's like, you'd really have to have trust that the judges are going to get this right. I don't know how I feel about it. Bonfim's very one-dimensional to me. That last fight with Nazim Sadikhov is an excellent example. He starts off well, lands a good couple shots, starts missing on his hook, starts winging a couple shots. The fight starts to get later into the round, just single one round. Later into the round, his hands are low. He's sloppy. He reads that it's probably going to be a body kick, and he shifts his hands down and eats it right in the face. And that swells the eye. Not shut, but it swells the eye. Between rounds, they ask him if he can continue. He tells them no. So I'm not really certain that I trust this guy to fight a full 15 minutes. And Padilla is going to require you to fight a full 15 minutes, more than likely. I'm going to hit a little bit of the over or under prop on this one, but I don't know. Straight up, I guess I got Bonfim, but it's just another fight I really don't care for.
Yeah, the over in this fight is pretty much like or the fight goes to the distance is like basically a pick 'em. I mean, if this fight goes to decision, I'd feel pretty good about Bonfim coming away with a win. Minus 205, that's not getting me to the window, but he has shown an ability to put up a lot more volume. The biggest problem that Padilla has, I feel like, is just the volume. It tops out at like 60 significant strikes. He's not really leading the dance. He's waiting for you to mess up and run into something, which I think Bonfim kind of happened against Salikhov last time out. He was doing all well and just kind of ran into it. Favorite bet for me would be like Padilla KO, which is like plus 600. We'll see when more places open up as the week goes along. But I'm not going to be letting Ismael Bonfim ruin my week. That's for damn sure. Maybe I'll take a small little shot on
the Bonfim parlay is not something I'm interested in because one of them is going to blow it.
Yeah, it's not free money, I don't think, this week. Now watch everyone go and parlay it. Be like, Bonfim squared was the real deal. I guess we'll find out. I mean, there's a lot of closely lined fights on this card. A lot of the fights that I think can go really either way. Which brings us to the next one. We got Ricky Simon taking on taking on Raoni Barcelos. Minus 175 for Ricky. Comeback on Raoni plus 142. Another fight that's like, geez. It almost kind of feels like we're.
Did Muslim Salikhov Medic get canceled?
I just went based off of the order of fightpicks.io.
Oh, okay.
Because every site's got different orders at this time of the week, I find. We'll talk about that fight quite literally after this one. But I don't know. This is an interesting stylistic matchup between the two of these guys. Raoni, obviously, a little bit long in the tooth at this point in his career. But he's having pretty decent performances against high level of competition. Ricky Simon has been very inconsistent fight to fight, and a lot of times he has to lean on that wrestling to really have any sort of success. Is the wrestling going to work for him against Raoni? I'm not so sure about that. Raoni's got great grappling game. I don't know. I'm tempted to side with Raoni on this in this fight, in the fact that it's just going to be kind of a low volume affair between the two of these guys. Ricky Simon probably has a little bit of a power advantage, just as the corpse of Javid Basharat all about that. But Ricky, time and time again, doesn't get the wrestling going and just kind of looks lost out there. Had a big fight against Javid, but followed it up, frankly, with a bit of a stinker against Smotherman. What do you think about this fight, Cody?
Yeah, I agree. It's difficult because both guys, although capable of being elite level talents, top 10 guys, is that they're both just wildly inconsistent, right? Ricky Simon has been written off a few times. When he lost to Uriah Faber and couldn't hold down Rob Font consecutive fights, he was done at that point. Then all of a sudden he goes on a 5-fight winning streak. Then he goes on a 3-fight losing streak. Completely written off. Then he knocks out Javid Basharat. And then nails in the stinker was Cameron Smotherman, where really the third round, Cameron's boxing him up, but he really just only relies on his wrestling. And that's Ricky's exact thing. If he can take you down, it's going to be an easy Ricky Simone partay. If he can take you down, he does not have the volume. All of his best wins are the takedowns. Him versus Ray Borg, 7. Him versus that Gaetano bum, 7. Him versus Brian Kelleher, 6. He took down Jack Shore. He took down Rafael Assunção. He took down pretty well everybody. The fights with Song Yadong, he won the first round. And then the longer it goes, the takedowns aren't there. He falls apart. Can't strike. Mario Batista, a couple early takedowns. The longer the fight goes, he can't take Batista down. He gets outworked. Vinicius Oliveira, Ricky got a couple early takedowns on him. Couldn't hold him down for more than 30 seconds combined between the two takedowns. Forced to strike. Can't keep up with them. He's had something like 20 plus fights in the UFC. And in all of his fights in the UFC, his career high is 67 against Ray Borg. Significant strikes landed, 67. And that's 5+ years ago. His fight against Song Yadong, he put up 60, but that was a fight that went into the 5th round. So if he gets 6 or 7 or 8 takedowns, that's his path to victory. If he's not able to get more than 2 or 3, he's just going to get outworked. Now, the Javid Basharov fight is the outlier. He didn't get his takedowns. He was getting outworked. And then he nuked him with the right hand. This is the fight game. Anything can happen. And yeah, he punched him out. You saw in the Cameron Smotherman fight, though, it's like, yeah, he's not super comfortable with these rangy, good boxers, good guys that are going to put combinations together, superior volume. Even though you look at Raoni Barcelos, he's 38 years old. This thing could go left on him. He's traditionally and historically had really good takedown defense, chose 85% overall, but some of these guys like Cody Garbrandt, former state champion, he went 0 for 7. Kyler Phillips, solid wrestler out of the MMA lab in Arizona. He went 1 for 4. Umar shot 0, got 0, but Timur Valyev's Russian. He went 0 for 6. Said Nurmagomedov, another striking Russian like Valiev, he went 0 for 1, I think. He can stuff takedowns. And in Ricky's case, I think that Barcelos can stuff enough of them. Plus, he's a BJJ black belt. So if he does get taken down, I think he gets up. If he can stuff the takedowns, keep in mind, Barcelos is a 7-time member of the Brazilian national team in wrestling. He can kind of do it all. Then he can just keep this thing as a punchy kicky. Yeah, he's got slightly better boxing. He's got a little more output. You just saw him beat up Cody Garbrandt. Lost the first round, and then all of a sudden starts putting the volume together and start pressuring you and stuff the takedowns and make you work and start landing those bigger shots. So Raoni's definitely capable of going out there and doing it. He's kind of like a Master Nduba, who for some crazy reason just want to fight this past weekend on the DBX card and look really good. The guy just won't go away. Raoni was also being written off. Too old, and then now he's on a 3-fight winning streak. He has a signature victory over Peyton Talbot and then can follow it up. Well, did follow it up with a win over a former champ and then has an ability here to extend it to a 4-fight win streak at this stage of his career with another solid victory over a winnable fight in Ricky Simone. I think he does it. Is it going to be close? Yeah. Do I need the judges to get it right? Because Ricky might have some control time, and Ricky will certainly have some moments. Of course. But overall, after 15 minutes, Raoni Barcelos should have the bigger and the greater body of work. So he should get the nod, in my opinion, and I'm going to pick him.
Yeah, for me, it's kind of like, I think it's like a 50-50 fight, and they're giving me, a little bit of quote-unquote value. We'll find out what happens probably early in those wrestling exchanges. If Ricky has a lot of success getting takedowns and holding position from top, then maybe it was a bad read. But Raoni at, plus 140, plus 150 seems like a decent little shot. Nothing crazy. We got Muslim Salikhov taking on Uros Medic. Uros Medic is a minus 170 favorite to come back on Salikhov plus 142. This fight's just completely just a car crash, really. Somebody's head is getting absolutely knocked off. Somebody's getting finished. Somebody's losing by knockout more often than not. And give me the old man Salikhov because he's plus money. But complete train wreck. The only guarantee is that I think somebody's head is getting knocked off probably in the first 7.5 minutes. But am I going to be shocked by any sort of result between the two of these? Between the two of these guys, not really. But both of them, durability questionable. Uros Medic obviously a little bit longer. I don't think he's really putting in like he doesn't have like the greatest training room that he's working with on a week to week basis. He's lived by the KO, die by the KO over and over and over. Like even this Urbina fight, it's like, yeah, sure, he got the first round knockout, but he actually got knocked down slightly before that. So he is there for the taking. That plus money, give me the Sultan of Spin. Is that his name? That's his nickname?
Sometimes they call him the King of Kung Fu.
King of
Sometimes they
Kung
call
Fu.
him the Sultan of Spin. Everybody calls him a dangerous dude, man. Yeah, 41 years old, but 5 minutes. 5 minutes where he is capable of knocking pretty well whoever he wants out. Currently on a 3-fight winning streak. The fight with Song Kanan, it's a spinning back kick to the head. It's like a little spinning back kick. Whoop. 41-year-old man still moves nice, gets the knockout. His fight with Carlos Leal, huge underdog. Leal never been knocked out. Leal just storming the pocket, coming after him. He walks into his straight right hand. It's not a straight right hand. He ducks under and hits him with like a half overhand, half hook. Beautiful shot. Knocks him out. He's got the big power, but I think his win condition is pretty reliant on he wins this fight in the first round. So with Medic had really shown no signs of durability issues. Big, tall, not a big reach, but he's 6'1" for the weight class. He fights long at times. But I mean, yeah, he's not looking to fight long. He's not looking to establish a jab. He's using that southpaw stance to set up a straight left hand, likes to walk forward, likes to engage. His problem is just like Paul said, the Soriano fight. Soriano crashes forward and knocks him out, just catching him on the end of a right hook. 31 seconds. And then Urbina, it's basically like the first punch that lands puts him down. If you've got any type of durability issue, especially just early in a fight, where you're coming at this guy and he hits you and you're going down, it's going to be super problematic against Salikhov. But more so than just everybody knows it, while Salikhov can knock guys out and he's a fast finisher, this guy looks like he's susceptible to getting finished early. Urbina, chin issues. Maybe it's just a first-round Salikhov play. Perhaps. But the real reason I end up going with it is when you watch Salikhov fight, he's most comfortable with people attacking him. If he can just counterpunch you, that's perfect. He's a low-volume guy. He's not looking to lead the dance. He's not looking to land 70, 80, 90, 100 significant strikes. No way. He's quite literally looking to just edge, wait for you to come to him, and then sit on that opportunity and knock you out. And so when you watch Uros Medic fight, he pretty well just crashes forward every single time. I don't think it's something that you can just change about yourself. I don't think they can just say, hey, don't do this. This is what brought him to the dance. This is what makes him an exciting fighter. This is why the UFC's booked him. He's going to come forward. He's going to try to engage. And when he does them, I think Salikhov hits him with something and puts him out. So it's a Salikhov play for me as well.
We got Christian Leroy Duncan taking on Marco Tulio. Tulio is a minus 186 favorite to come back on CLD, plus 154. Bit of a dangerous fight for Tulio. Tulio has been absolutely running over dudes the last couple of fights. The Trishan Gore putting up just like crazy volume against Trishan Gore in like just over 7.5 minutes, 127 significant strikes. Maybe Herzog allegedly had the over 1.5 in that one. Allegedly. I don't know if he even reffed that one, but I'm just saying there was like moments in that fight where you're just like, I don't even know if Herzog was actually the ref in that.
It was Goddard.
It's for levity purposes. But there was a lot of moments in that fight. You're just like, Gore's too tough for his own good. But we've seen Tulio be able to put up some pretty decent volume here. And CLD, sometimes the volume can be a little bit questionable. I mean, Tulio just ran through Ihor. Like, these are low-level opponents, I suppose. The Balagri fight from Contender Series, in hindsight, looks a lot better.
Aging pretty good.
It's aging quite well, like a French wine, some could say. I do worry with Tulio, though, is like he really just kind of crashes forward. And someone like CLD could maybe intercept him. I have no shortage of underdogs that I'm taking on this. So I'm going to side with Tulio on just basically just staying way busier, making this, and edging this out. I think this fight more likely to go over. Maybe they're a little bit more tentative, but Tulio just throws when he's at his best. He's throwing more. So that's where that's where I will side on this fight here. Where are you at?
Yeah, well, I kind of went back and forth between this one. On one hand, I think CLD is actually a better striker. When you watch the technique, it's like this guy's got some nice elbows. He's got some decent footwork. He moves well. He's a fairly athletic guy. Tulio, meanwhile, yeah, he's just a kind of a brawler. High volume, but he's flat-footed. His hands are low. He's there to get hit. His only career loss, he did get knocked out. So is he the kind of guy that if he stands and bangs, it's going to be a problem? Quite possibly. Well, maybe he'll rely on his wrestling. I don't think his wrestling is really all that good. Outside of the one fight versus Belguri, he's not really wrestled anybody. And in fact, not one single opponent he's had on Contender Series or the UFC has ever shot a takedown on him. So not that I think CLD is really some great grappler as well, but could he not just basically have this guy come to you, like Paul's saying, land the bigger shots, land the big elbow, land some nice leg kicks, slow this guy down, kind of matador him a little bit, mix him up some cage control time, and edge this thing in? Yeah, entirely possible. I went back and I watched his fight with Andrei Pulayev, simply because Pulayev is, he's a quirky striker who wants to throw high volume if given the opportunity. And in that fight, it's like CLD just looks very uncomfortable in all the striking exchanges. Instead, he relies on not getting any takedowns, over 2, I think. Got like 7.5 minutes of control time by just pushing him up against the cage. His next fight with Eric Anders just wants to push you into the cage. So he was able to knock him out. Tulio ain't looking to do that. If he can shuck off your clinch control attempts, if he can just get his back off the cage and just force this to be a high-volume striking affair, then yes, possibly CLD's got enough power to knock Tulio out. But I think Tulio probably does outwork him. He's not super tall. He's not like the biggest guy going at 185 pounds. I think he's only 6 feet with like a 70, 71 maybe.
He's giving up 5 inches in reach. He's 2 inches
74.
shorter.
Yeah, so I mean, like the idea that he's just going to cleanly outwork him from the outside isn't great. And if he has to come inside the pocket, then CLD doesn't hang out there a whole lot. Christian Leroy Duncan also has never been finished. Both of his losses were by decision, and they were for different reasons. Armin Petrosian outworked him, but with a lot of leg kicks, which Tulio doesn't do. And then his fight with Gregory Robocop Rodriguez, he got taken down 4 times and he got held up against the cage. So it's a little bit weird. They got contrasting styles in their own way, so it's kind of hard to say who's going to fight the right game plan. But volume is usually where I like to go with. What I like to go with in these types of spots. I think he is capable of outworking him. He's dating Big Norma Dumont, so his grappling probably pretty okay. Not that she looked good this past weekend, just saying. I think Tulio's she should have lost if you're scoring control time over damage. Then yes, 100%. If you're scoring damage over control time, then she was landing the better shots for the first 2.5. Listen, I had Ketlen Vieira by decision at plus 175. So you're preaching the choir, brother. I thought Vieira won.
I had Dumont, and I didn't think I should have.
I thought I won. I just mean
I got all the bounces on the corruption. Like as I said to you before, I got all the bounces on the corruption last week. So
yeah. And now you're banned from a few books.
And now the FBI's watching, so it's just like,
yeah,
I'm not gonna get the bounces maybe this week. Trust me, I've been on the wrong side of some scandalous stuff over the last year or so as well. We all end up on the wrong side of it sometimes.
Yeah, and
last week it all kind of went in my favor, and I was just like, it was kind of weird, like maneuvering around the ecosystem of bettors when it's just like, it kind of worked out okay for me.
Can you see a best price for Fight Goes the Distance or like a over 2.5?
Yes, I can. For people, this is the paid version of fight odds.
It's a great site.
The guy reached out to us. We don't actually get paid anything to do it, but we use it for every episode. It's a lot easier navigating. It does cost money to use it, but I'm logged into it every single day. So non-official. There's no promo codes, anything like that.
But if you want to sign up,
if you want to step it up to the next level, it definitely makes navigating for these types of things considerably easier. Fight Goes to a Decision. It's pretty much like a pick'em. Like what's a Tulio decision? That's kind of what I was.
Yeah, or flip side of that, like
it's not that generous. Plus 165, plus 185, plus 203 is the best on market for that.
I think Duncan's
over
going to try to slow him down and it hit the over. And I think Tulio may unload on Duncan, but Duncan's durability is fine. He's fine that way.
Over 2.5 minus 120. It's moving. It's probably going to. It's actually moving the other way. Interesting. People are betting the finish. I don't mind the overs there. I don't mind the overs there either. I don't mind the overs. Not easy guys to put away by any stretch of the imagination. All right, we got Hyder Amil taking on Jamall Emmers. Hyder Amil, like a minus 150 favorite. The comeback on Emmers, plus 130-ish. Where you at?
I'll keep this one quick for you. I think Hyder Mill knocks him out. Jamall Emmers is like, he's one of these, he's a good athlete and he moves well and his punches are nice and straight. He's got some decent speed. He's got some good pop, wrestled in college, can grapple as well. Has got some experience. Everything on paper checks out. He don't got that dog in him, right? He don't got this thing gets prolonged or I lost the last round and I've got to come back and I got to switch the game plan up. This is punchy kicky, and sometimes you're just going to have to resort to making adjustments on the fly or getting into that scrap in the pocket or doing what needs to be done. And that's where I find he just like comes up a little bit shy. Back in the day, he had questionable ring IQ. Of course, people look at the Pat Sabatini fight, nuking him on the feet, follow him to the ground and get heel hooked. He fought Giga Chikatz, a glory kickboxing veteran, the Kyokushin karate black belt, opted not to take him down into the third round. That's all weird. But I zone in more so on that late Nate Landwehr fight. The first round, he looks really good. He drops Nate Landwehr with a nice little right hand straight down the middle. He busts him in the head. Nate's bleeding everywhere. This thing comes around the 3.5 minute mark. And at the 3.5 minute mark, he's already slowing down significantly. Nate's all of a sudden throwing clubbing shots and they're splitting his guard. He gets rocked by a right hand. He moves back. His output falls off. He doesn't want to engage quite as much, but he doesn't run away. And he doesn't have the wrestling. In fact, he's too tired to shoot takedowns. So he just allows this sequence to come. Nate steps in, uppercut, right hand might have hit the back of the head, but the uppercut pretty well felt at him already. He was already going to hit the canvas. Then he finishes it up. The wins, Gabriel Miranda, first round knockout. Dennis Bazukia in a fight he missed weight for, first round knockout. If that first round knockout doesn't materialize, yeah, man, it's going to be a problem for him the longer this thing goes. Hyder Amil, if you took his last fight off the table, this is a no-brainer because this guy's got awesome durability, and you know he's going to come forward, and you know he's going to exchange hands, and you know he's capable of landing 100 significant strikes if need be. Landed 50-plus against Jung Young Lee in the first round, knocked him out. I think he wins all day. Delgado knocks him out. Does that change anything? Well, one, Delgado, even though he's coming off a controversial loss to Nathaniel Wood, that guy can hit. Thing number two is that guy hit him with a knee right up the middle, Paul. If there's something that's going to knock you out, it's one of these spinning wheel kicks to the head. It's one of these Jose Delgado knees straight up the middle. So I don't think Hyder's got durability issues. I don't think a Jamall Emmers straight right is going to cause the same amount of impact as a Jose Delgado knee to the face. So, yeah, the first round, to be honest with you, Emmers is he's faster and he's going to be moving. He's going to be sticking him with the jab. He'll be touching him with some right hands. Hyder's going to try to find that range. He's going to be inching closer, a little bit shorter with the footwork. But eventually, I think he's going to land those same clubbing shots that Nate Landwehr did. Thing number two, if Emmers decides I want to wrestle, he can take down Hyder Amil. But Hyder Amil's got an excellent get-up game. Longtime trading partner of Gilbert Melendez. His get-up game's solid. He'll give up takedowns, but it's one of these you're going to have to constantly work. Emmers ain't willing to constantly work. If he shoots 2 or 3 takedowns and Hyder Amil's able to get back up by the third one, now we're easy money because he's too tired to keep shooting and he's too tired to defend himself from the strikes. So his win condition for Emmers is get this thing done with as soon as you possibly can. And because I don't think that that's going to happen, Hyder eventually clubs him out there near the end of the first, into the second. Hopefully it doesn't go to the third, but if it does go to the third, Hyder should be the fresher guy. Better cardio, better durability, better power. Emmers is a specimen, man. He's like Melvin Gillard, right? For the first 3-4 minutes. Prime Melvin Gillard, I should say. But you know, he falls off pretty quick after that. And then when that happens, Hyder's going to catch him at that point in the road, put him over. So, yeah, give me a Mil by TKO. Probably under 1.5, but that's not my style. So I just hopefully sometime in the first or second.
Yeah. I don't have too much to add to that. Only thing I will say, probably because I'm only human. The Amil round 1 props are looking kind of juicy in a couple spots. May jump on those right after this show, to be perfectly honest. I see a plus 650, and it's just like, don't threaten me with a good time. Mayra Bueno Silva taking on Jacqueline Cavalcanti. MBS is a plus 210 underdog to come back, or favorite in Cavalcanti minus 260. I suppose Cavalcanti is longer. Mayra Bueno Silva's had a pretty tough run here where it's been against the division's elite, I suppose, but she doesn't seem to show all that much ability on the feet. She is eating a whole bunch of shots. She gets taken down at will, and she's fishing for submissions from her back. But I haven't really seen like a full, a game plan that you could, really put your faith and trust into. We haven't really seen anything like that from her. She's either like being on her back, fishing up some sort of submission, or for the last 4 fights here, not going her way whatsoever. There was obviously the no contest where she did get the guillotine choke because she's fishing for submissions against Holly Holm. But otherwise, outside of that, it's just like low volume and kind of just lets the fight come to her. I do struggle to like back Cavalcanti. The volume hasn't been great, and when the volume has been great, I mean, Zara Farn, Josie and Nunes, these are like some of the lowest level opponents you can ask for in the UFC. She's going pretty tit for tat, relatively competitive against these Julia Avilas and Cavalcanti. Everything in my being wants me to bet Mayra Bueno Silva by sub, and maybe even take a shot on her money line. But I don't know. She just kind of goes out there, and it is against higher level of competition. But she doesn't look like someone who's going out there with like a smart game plan where she can control the fight. She just lets the fight come to her so much. Dog or pass, CF dot model for me, but I'm leaning more towards a pass. I don't know if I can trust Mayra Bueno Silva with my hard-earned dollars. Where are you at?
Yeah, well, the tough part about Mayra Bueno Silva is, like Paul's saying, she can't stick to the game plan. Now, this girl was doing plenty fine, won 3 straight, actually 4 straight, choked out former decorated champion Holly Holm. And then they took away her Ritalin medication, Paul. That one got rolled back to no contest. And now she doesn't stick to the game plan because she has trouble focusing on tasks. So, yeah, the Ritalin apparently was a performance enhancer because since that Holly Holm fight, she's the best girls. Not Macy Chase is not one of the best girls. Some of the best girls.
Yeah.
But, yeah, no, she's just, like, really looked out of it. Her cardio was never great. Go back to the Montana De La Rosa fight, you'll see. In a 3-round fight, generally slows down. But, yeah, now she's getting a little bit older. She's not super fast. She's not a big volume puncher. She's not a big power puncher. And she tends to just fall off after a round. Her job's certainly on the line. I'm sure she'll show up in good shape. And I think that she's capable of winning this fight. I am going to take her for no other reason than CF dot model. Jacqueline Cavalcanti minus 260, you said?
Can't do it.
No. Okay, so first of all, Cavalcanti has got a split decision win over Josiane Nunes and a split decision win over Nora Canole. It was actually a rematch in Nora. She had previously already beaten her, and yet in this fight, 54-54 in the significant strikes, Nora Canole got the only takedown. Nora Canole went 1 for 9 on takedowns, but had almost 4 minutes of control time. You mean to tell me someone who split decision Josiane Nunes quite literally a year ago, and split decision Nora Cornhole also about a year ago, should be a minus 260 favorite over anybody? No way. Oh, and for the record, so then what's her big win? Well, the Julia Avila fight. Technically, she beat Melissa Croden before she got to the UFC. That one may have aged okay. But really, it's this Julia Avila fight. Julia Avila hadn't fought in 2 years. Mm-hmm. Julia Avila hadn't won a fight in 4 years. And it was actually a quasi-competitive fight. She won. We bet her. That's all good. But it wasn't like it was a walk in the park. And yeah, she's a kickboxing champion. It's a European level kickboxing. She does have the better volume. She does have the better striking. She does have the better cardio. She will win this fight the longer it goes. But herein lies the problem about betting at minus 260. When you look at the really low level girls she's fought and been in competitive fights with, it doesn't really compare to the girls that Mayra Bueno Silva is fighting. Not only the Jassa Deviciuses of the world, former champion Raquel Pennington in a title fight, former champion Holly Holm. She's fought in former two-time title challenger, well, soon to be two-time challenger, Mano Fiorot. She's got a submission win over Jillian Robertson. She is a BJJ black belt. And she's got a much better grappling game than Cavalcanti. Cavalcanti's been fighting non-grapplers. So, yeah, Nora Cornoli went 1 for 9, but had 4 minutes of control time. What if this girl goes 2 for 6 and gets 7 minutes of control time? Well, now you're at risk, man. You're at risk big time. She subbed Holly Holm, so we know that their grappling's okay. But I want to just zone in on the title fight versus Raquel Pennington. The first round against Raquel Pennington, who's a former world champion, she outstruck her 18-11, went 2 for 2 for takedowns, and got 3 minutes of 20 seconds of control time. The second round, she starts to tire, right? She still got 2:46 of control time, but loses the second. Raquel takes over. This fight with Cavalcanti, if she wins the first round with takedowns, which she was able to do to a former world champion not all that long ago, and the second round, still probably going to tire, but Raquel poses a lot more problems than Cavalcanti, so maybe you edge out that second round. Now, Cavalcanti needs to finish you in the third. Are you trusting Cavalcanti to finish this thing for you? No! You're trusting her to outpoint this for you, but listen, it's not an even money fight, and it's not priced like Cavalcanti minus 135, minus 140. It's minus 260 on a women's MMA fight with Jacqueline Cavalcanti. That's almost certainly going to decision. No, I'm not in on that. Also, the Macy Chiasson fight. She's not looking terrible, but her head gets split open. It gets stopped due to a cut. She's been very unlucky. Some of these fights, she's not doing bad, and then something unlucky happens. Cavalcanti's not dangerous enough. She hasn't got the grappling. She hasn't got the extreme pace. She's coming off wins at a far lower level. I don't know. It's a complete chick fight dogger pass. CF dot model. Give it to me, Paul. I'm going to take the underdog here.
All right, we got Josh Hokit taking on Max Gimenis. Minus 400 for Hokit. The comeback on Gimenis, plus 300. I mean, outside of like his Instagram, I wasn't able to find really anything on this Gimenis guy. And like the footage on his Instagram is like fan cam in the crowd with like their hand partially over top of the phone. Not great. It's hard to know what the hell we're expecting from this guy. Before I get like, I'm not gonna waste anybody's time and say I've got some sort of like crazy great insider take or anything like that on this fight. I don't really know. I know that Hokit opens his mouth and talks a lot of smack, and the UFC likes that because they can probably promote him. This Gimenis guy, I mean, he wasn't invited to, contender series or anything like that. I look through his record. I don't see too many high-level opponents. Everything is pointing kind of towards this is another guy who's like a grappler that they're thinking doesn't have too much of a threat on the feet, which I think is where you would probably exploit. Hokit at this stage in his career is like still only a 27-year-old heavyweight, probably a little bit too undersized of a heavyweight, like 220. I think he's like 230 pounds or so.
Yeah, Hokit.
Yeah.
Small. Yeah. I should say.
Everything leads me to Hokit, but it's like I will admit that I don't know exactly what to expect from this Gimenis guy. So buyer beware, I suppose, in some respects. Your thoughts here?
Yeah, Max Gimenis. Honestly, we just watched so many fights. There was some great Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu world champion that was on this past season of the Contender Series, possibly week 2 or 3. I'm just drawing a blank. And he ends up getting knocked out in a minute. It was like, oh man, turns out he couldn't take a punch at all. And then Marcus Buchecha, the great Marcus Buchecha, debuts in the UFC. And at least he fought for one championship and he had almost 10 MMA fights, and he's no good at all. This trend of you just simply are a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guy, you're going to come over, I don't think it's getting it done. Max Gimenis doesn't have the wrestling. And so how do you use your Jiu-Jitsu? Yeah. All of your grappling matches have been, the guy tries to shoot on you, or you guys play handsies for a little bit standing, or eventually hits the ground. And furthermore, when you look at his big wins, this guy's well decorated. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu world champion multiple times. But the big name guys that he's gone against, like Leandro Lowe or is Muhammad Ali, not the one that everybody loves, the boxer. Muhammad Ali is a jiu-jitsu champion. How long did he last on the Contender Series? I'm going to get this one right. He got stiffed in 20 seconds against Iwo Barwaniuski. And he was a minus 300 favorite over Iwo Barwaniuski, who stiffed him in 20 seconds. So, yeah, no, I don't think it's going to go great. His losses to the good guys, he grappled Buchecha, he grappled Victor Hugo, he grappled John Combs, he's grappled Philip Andrew, Roberto Cyborg Abreu. He's lost all of those. The wins are like AJ Agazaram, who's a lightweight. He beat Dylan Danis back in the day, who's also pretty well a lightweight, sometimes fights out welterweight. He beat Aaron Tex Johnson, who's a middleweight. So he's just a big guy doing jiu-jitsu in a sport where you're oftentimes against these much smaller guys. He's 6'2", he's 260 pounds. He's going to be the bigger guy, but I don't think he moves like a great athlete. Physically, very strong for 5 minutes. After that, you're going to start to see him fall off. His MMA career consists of, this is laughable, extremely laughable. He beats Robert Coleman, debut. Robert Coleman never fights again. He goes 0-1. That was it for him. Second fight, he beats Harrison Aiken, who was 0-1. It's now 0-3. Then he beats Derek Bradley, who was 1-3, and is now 2-10. Then he beats Cameron Graham, who was 8-14, but is now 9-20. Then he beats John Ott, who had fought once in the last 11 years. And then he beats a guy that's 7-8, and now he's in the UFC. The one loss, he's got one loss. He got knocked out in 1 minute and 50 seconds by David White, who was 2-4 at the time and never fought again. Is currently 3-4. So yeah, it's another one of these Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu world champions who can't really strike and can't really take a punch and has less than 10 professional fights, who's now going to go in there. And yeah, again, listen, the first round, he's going to be dangerous enough. He's got a 40-pound weight advantage or a 35-pound weight advantage. Hokit's primary skill is his wrestling, so he's going to be looking to take him down, and Gimenis is flying off of his back. The second round, Gimenis is going to be fully tired, and then at that point, I think Hokit takes over. Hokit's one of these weird, he's a former state champion in high school wrestling, and then he's supposed to wrestle in college, but all of a sudden he gravitates toward playing football, goes undrafted. He's a walk-on at Fresno State, okay? And then he's a walk-on to the San Francisco 49ers. He didn't get not drafted. He just shows up to a tryout, makes it through the round of cuts, and ends up making it to the team. Eventually gets cut because he's not the greatest football player, I suppose, but comes right back to MMA where his wrestling's been winning it for him. He's not really showing you any of his stand-up striking skills. I wouldn't imagine they're great. He's got a brother, Isaiah Hokit, who's been knocked out standing before. So I think this game plan is take you down. But at heavyweight, if you've got cardio and you can just take guys down but not put yourself in bad spots, get him on a hip ride, get him on mat returns, keep taking him down, just like Cain used to do, although Cain's the greatest of all time and Hokit certainly isn't Cain Velasquez. I just mean that chain wrestling at heavyweight is going to wear these guys down. Gimenis, if you watch Gimenis' last grappling match, he takes on, it's this CJI versus Nick Rodriguez. Craig Jones Invitational 1 takes on Nick Rodriguez. Rodriguez is a 205er. The first 4 or 5 minutes, they're going back and forth. Nothing's happening. After the first round, second round, another 5-minute round to come up, he's absolutely gassed. He gets taken down. He gets choked out. That's what's going to happen with Hokit. The first round will be competitive. Hokit will push him up against the cage. Not much will happen, but I think Hokit will still win it. Second round, Gimenis is going to gas. Hokit puts him out. That's my play here. I got Josh Hokit. Last thing I got to add on this one. If someone comes up to Josh Hokit in the back and says, I got some money for you right here to throw this fight, Josh Hokit would never lose on purpose to an immigrant. He hates immigrants, Paul. So there's no way that he's going to throw a fight to a Max Jimenez. Okay. Hokit's coming in here. He's got a weird shtick, but I actually like his fight style. I like his athleticism, his cardio, his wrestling. He's super young in his career. He's prone to making mistakes, but I think he's going to be an okay heavyweight prospect at some point. Unless he goes down to 205, even better. Give me some Hokit.
Yeah, he's basically like heavyweight Colby right now. At least with the stick, and frankly, the style is not all that different either. Like,
no,
I think like he'll get exploited when you can have someone who can stop his takedowns and box him up on the feet. Because I think his stand-up game is definitely, at the very least, a work in progress right now. But Gimenis doesn't seem to be that guy. Gimenis does his best work when he gets takedowns and is riding from top position. So, yeah, that's seems in theory like he should absolutely roll, but it's a bit of a wild card with Gimenis. You're not going to find too much tape on him out there. At least his MMA tape is like basically non-existent. Tecia Torres taking on Denise Gomes, minus 180 for Gomes, plus 155 for Tecia. Your thoughts?
I am gonna take Tecia, man. But a lot of it is CF top model. A lot of it is, yeah. I think if she's the betting underdog, all of her fights are generally pretty close. They're always these weird. It always goes to decision, and now I just need a close decision, and then a close decision at the Apex with these judges is. I want to be holding the plus money Tecia Torres ticket instead. Tecia Pennington, whatever you want to go with. Yeah, Tecia Pennington. She's since she's come back from having the child, she's naturally older as well. The speed's not quite as there, the volume isn't quite as there, but it's the takedown defense isn't necessarily great. I don't like that she gave up the 5 takedowns. I don't mind the 4 to Carlos Esparza, former world champion. Retirement fight, but former world champion. It's the 5 against Luana Pinheiro. Like Luana Pinheiro's really not shown great wrestling in a whole lot of her fights, and yet to give up 5 takedowns, there's a tad bit concerning. Some of these other fights, I thought she won against Tabitha Ricci. I thought she won against Mackenzie Dern, but it's just like small grappling exchanges here and there, getting pinned up against the cage here and there. That seemingly is their undoing at times. But yeah, with Denise Gomes, other than being younger, that's about it. You can say she wants to wrestle and she's going to wrestle Tecia Torres. Her last fight, she took down Elise Reed 3 times. Okay, hold up. That's Elise Reed. Who else have you taken down? Wasn't able to take down Karolina Kovacevic. Got taken down 5 times by Eduardo Mura. Got taken down 5 times by Angela Hill. Got taken down 4 times by Loma Lukabume, who's a 105-pounder. So what we can ascertain is that her wrestling is really not great. It's certainly not great. Okay, well then what if she can win this fight on the feet? Maybe, but she's got a career high of 73 against Karolina Kovacevic, who's really not herself either. You're going to have to probably show up in a strictly striking affair with Tecia Pennington, Tecia Torres. You're probably going to have to up. Those are rookie numbers. You're going to have to get those numbers up. And if the takedowns don't materialize, or just like you saw in Pennington versus Esparza, maybe you do take her down, but if she's getting back up and she's outlanding you, and the judges are looking, these specific judges for this specific fight are looking for damage more than control time, she's live, man. She hits a couple some kias, some hop kias up there. And then because it's the acoustics of the UFC Apex, and there's no fans in attendance, I can see in your brain. Ha, ha, ha. Ka, ka, ka. Ha, ha. Really, of those 9 strikes, yeah, 1 kind of glancingly landed. But it resonates with you that she's outworking you. And Tecia can outwork anybody. And if this fight comes down to you can't take her down and you need to outwork her, I don't like that prospect as a betting favorite. No, sir. So yeah, see if Domine. I'll take old Mama T to pull one more out of the hat.
Yep, close decision that you hope that.
Prop.
Yeah, those split decision props are pretty short. It's plus 350 is like
that's all okay.
They're so short, so it's like unanimous is definitely in play as well. I was trying to like play those for a while there, and I got off of them because I'm like, you know what, these props are just way shorter. Long term, I just didn't see the profitability in playing those props. But what do I expect to happen? Tecia Pennington by split decision, razor thin, and you're hoping that 2 of 3 of these judges who are getting left out of a whole bunch of the crazy stuff going on recently. You just hope that 2 or 3 of them didn't collect it back. Miles Johns, Daniel Marcos. We got Daniel Marcos minus 175 favorite to come back on Johns plus 150. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't love the fight being that it's hard to say that either guy's really going to be close to 100%. Being that Johns was supposed to fight last week against Muin Gafarov, makes the weight, but the fight don't happen. Then they move him over 1 week, and this fight's at 135. So I don't know. I don't know. Actually, he never really weighed in, so it's hard to say he made the weight. It's just you're cutting to make the weight, I should say, and
We
then
never
you're
broke this fight down.
no. I was just say he didn't weigh in. It wasn't, but you're getting ready to fight last week, and then you get moved
Yeah.
over 1 week. It somewhat changes some things, maybe. And then for Daniel Marcos, he was supposed to fight in 2 weeks against Felipe Lima. That fight got canceled. He got pulled in 2 weeks. So one guy was probably getting ready to cut weight for this fight. He has his camp extended a week. When you talk to these performance coaches and these mental coaches and all that, a lot of them will say, you're peaking. It's all about peaks. And you're trying to peak come the fight. So who knows if it threw him off. The other guy, meanwhile, he's now had to, cut short his camp 2 weeks and rush the weight cut. And so it's like, am I going to get a weird fight where I can do as much tape study as I want? And I have tape studied it for sure. It's just, is it going to mean anything? Is Marcos going to show up as a weird version? And that's the other issue with both guys, is that they're inconsistent. Marcos technically should have lost to Davey Grant, for sure.
Yeah.
And he got outworked. And then that last fight with Montel Jackson, I don't really rate him, but the whole time he's just trying to take him down. Like at one point you were a striker. You're beating guys up. You're Peruvian. You're durable. You've got great cardio. You've got, great ability to rack up high numbers, stuff the takedowns, make these guys work. But sometimes he tries to wrestle. Sometimes he is high volume. Sometimes he's got no volume at all. He looked good against John Castaneda. He looked good against Arichi Lang prior to the no contest. Looked bad against Davey Grant. His fight with Adrian Yanez is the first time he starts to wrestle. He's getting beat in the striking exchanges, so he relies on him to shoot some takedowns. Against Montel Jackson, he didn't even want to strike with him at all. And really, the style of being durable and throwing high volume, you could have just outworked Montel Jackson. He's a low volume guy. Instead, his whole game plan was shoot, and then as a result, got taken down a few times himself. So this version of him with 2 weeks less to prepare, now he's taking on Miles John. It is a different opponent. Now Miles John's likely going to want to wrestle considerably. Are you going to just try to wrestle him? Or are you going to stuff the takedowns and outwork him with the striking? It's it's difficult to say. John's, I'd say, I'm gonna take. I don't know. I keep going back and forth. John's is the underdog, right?
John's like plus 150 underdog, and frankly, because of how inconsistent these guys are, I think it's a fight that I'm actually going to pass. But for the purposes of this show, I'm going to say dogger pass, and I'm going to take John's as the pick because I just don't know
Dogger
what
pass.
Marcos is going to show up. Is he going to be able to out volume in this fight? I'm not entirely sure. And like John's for for the stuff that he lacks and everything like that. He did get 5 takedowns against John Matsumoto. I think that's a very, very comparable opponent. And especially at least like on the same level of quality of opponent that Daniel Marcos is here. He looked pretty good in that fight, and like he ended up losing the decision, but a lot of people scored it for Miles Johns. I know I had Matsumoto tickets, and I did not feel good going to the scorecards in that fight.
Yeah, well, and that's the reason I end up taking Miles John in this one. Plus, we got some plus money is great. Is that last fight with Matsumoto? And what I mean by that is, I had to sweat that thing out. Split decision. I thought Matsumoto won, but Johns gave me everything he can handle. Johns comes from a college wrestling background, and yet in no UFC fight has he ever taken an opponent down more than twice. Johns can box a little bit, but these are the fights prior to that one. Felipe Lima lands 31 and no takedowns. Douglas D'Andrade, 50 and no takedowns. Cody Gibson, 25 and 2 takedowns. Dana Argueta, 43 and 2 takedowns. Vince Morales, 38 and 1 takedown. He's a decision machine who's low volume and doesn't wrestle. And then that last fight with Matsumoto, he landed a career high 83 significant strikes and a career high 5 takedowns. He does not want to get cut. He realizes I need to win more fights than I lose in order to keep my job. And he fought like he was wanting it. Marcos can be held up against the cage a bit. Marcos can be wrestled a little bit. Marcos, if he shows up like he did in the Davey Grant fight, let's say, or the Montel Jackson fight, he can be low volume. Yeah, give me dog money here on Miles John.
And I was looking to see if anybody had posted odds, but they haven't. The last fight, which I'm sure you didn't even look into because there isn't even any odds for it. But Donte Johnson taking on Jackson McVey per reports. We'll see if they clear any sort of if the commission's clear. I saw it reported that it was going to happen yesterday. I just haven't seen odds.
It'll happen.
It'll probably happen.
Donte will be a minus 285 at opener and possibly minus 350, minus 400 after that.
Yeah, that probably makes sense to me. Do you have any thoughts about that type of? I mean, the size of those guys between each other on the scale is going to be crazy.
It's going to be
Donte Johnson's like 5'8". Jackson McVey is like 6'4".
Yeah.
It's going to be pretty overwhelming. I still like Donte Johnson to absolutely overwhelm him, but quick turnaround. You don't know if he had picked up any sort of small little injury. Everything is for me, it's always very, very price dependent. And frankly, this card, there's a lot of close fights. And like, I feel like I was kind of just like siding with a couple short underdogs. The level of conviction on a bunch of these plays, not very high. I've been taping a whole bunch of ACA and stuff. So is what it is. But Cody, we are just about out of time. Before we go, mind doing us a favor and hitting them with the PRP.
I'm going to hit them with the PRP right here, right now. And a few of these could change, man. I'm going to wait for weigh-ins this week before I go jump in on anything heavy and try to sniff around who's getting the payments and who is not. Paul Shaughnessy. I'm gonna go Randy Brown. That one is one of the ones I could change. Joseph Morales, not changing that one. I like him. Muslim Salikhov, listen, he's 41 years old, and I got one round to get it done. He's the play for me. Ismael Bonfim, I am going to take Ismael Bonfim, even though I don't love it. Raoni Barcelos, greasy fight. Got to go with my boy Raoni. Marco Tulio, CLD, Christian Leroy Duncan. That's another one I could switch off. But for now, we're going with Marco Tulio. I'm taking Hyder Amil. I think he gets that knockout. I'm taking Mayra Bueno Silva. This is why CF dot model always ends up profitable in the end, because whack lines, and she's very capable of winning. Josh Hokit. This thing will be a lot easier in the second round once he tires him out. We're going to go Tecia Pennington. Might as well take both women's MMA underdogs, right, Paul? Mm-hmm. Miles John, that's going to be underdog number 4 technically, and then Donte Johnson. Yeah, McVey's 6'4", so he's got the height over Johnson. But one, Johnson, who fought as high as heavyweight, and I don't even know if he's done light heavyweight. We might have skipped over that one, but he's fought some taller guys. Beyond that, Jackson McVey, I know you've watched tape on him. He doesn't fight like a long guy. He just goes to clinch.
Wants to get into the clinch, which he's going to eat a monster shot by doing it. And the fights like on LFA and all of his like, I don't know if it's like Minnesota regionals or whatever. It's like he was fighting really low level bums. And Bruno Ferreira made him.
Bruno's only 5'10". Bruno's only 5'10".
I will admit, I took the bait. I took the bait on McVey as a long dog, and I was just like,
he got tossed.
That was really dumb. It really, in hindsight is always 20/20. Just like, okay, he was, the fights that he had won didn't mean anything. I mean, nothing really means anything until you have odds, but. Yeah, I think he'll open up like minus 250, probably be like minus 400. I won't be backing Jackson McVey. Maybe get a better price after people see stare downs. They go, "Oh, that guy's tall." Don't be fooled by that.
Well, also one guy was fighting at heavyweight, and then he skipped down 2 weight classes to make 185, and now he's going to make 185 again a week later. So yeah, again, maybe you want to wait until weigh-ins. Thankfully, this fight.
I think they're making. I think it's 190 catch. I think it's 190 catch.
Oh yeah, money. All right, let's do that. Let's go with that. I like that.
Yeah, just so that Jackson McVey could get a fight. I think he was just like, okay, 190 catch weight, which could become 195 catch weight when Donte Johnson's like, give me a little extra weight. Who knows? We'll find out. No odds yet, so it is what it is. Anyway, that's it for us this week. Hope you enjoyed the show. For Cody, I'm Paul, saying goodbye and good luck.